We as humans are looking for provision, protection, and prestige and power. The three P's. This is what we're looking for in life. Everything that we kind of do, these things motivate us. I'm George Webby. This is the Warrior Up Podcast, episode 26. And today we're going to talk about the temptation of Jesus. All right, if you've never read The Temptation of Jesus before, I would highly recommend going to Matthew and Luke's Gospels, chapter 4, and checking out the temptation. Now, what's cool about this story is that it's right on the heels of Jesus being baptized. And so when Jesus was baptized, what's interesting is he already knew this, but God the Father, the Holy Spirit, confirms his identity. You are my son in whom I'm well pleased, is what the voice comes and booms over the air when Jesus comes out from under the baptism and the Holy Spirit descends on him like a dove. That's the resounding voice. That is the command. That is the declaration. That is the manifesto, is that you are my son in whom I'm well pleased. And it says that the Spirit took Jesus into the wilderness to be tempted after 40 days and 40 nights of fasting. So here's what's cool. If we look at the three temptations that Jesus endured, they represent the three ways that we're trying to look to satisfy ourselves. And so what happens is the devil tries to cause Jesus to do it in his own power or do it in like a worldly power, a fleshly power. And instead, Jesus immediately turns the tables on the wicked one, right? So here's how it goes. So right out of the gate, Jesus is very hungry, and the devil says, hey, if you're the Son of God, remember, once again, it's on the heels of being told who he is, which is funny. He said, if you're the Son of God, so if that voice that you claim was the Father in your own head is right, then therefore this. And he says, take these stones and turn them into bread and feed yourself. And Jesus doesn't address this directly. What does he do? He says, man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of God. So the devil is trying to tempt Jesus to try to take care of himself, to provide for himself, to trust in his flesh and in his powers outside of his relationship with God to give him his sustenance. Jesus says, listen, you don't understand the sustenance I truly need. Food is not what's important. What's important is the truth that comes from God's mouth. So we need to rely on every word that comes out of the mouth of the Father. That's where we get our true provision. Well, we know that didn't work. So the devil takes him up on the highest point of the temple, which is probably the highest structure in that area, and says, hey, listen, if you're, God protects you, and if you're the Son of God, then therefore, according to like Psalm 91, there should be no reason why your foot dashes against the stone. So go ahead and throw yourself off this and see if you're protected. See if you have security. See if you have that blanket around you that will prevent you from getting injured. And Jesus knows that, let's be honest, he's not going to get injured in any shape, form, or fashion until he goes to the cross. He has a mission, and he understands that is what God has in store for him. But he doesn't need to prove that. And so basically he says to the devil, you don't put the Lord your God to the test. And so therefore, I don't need to prove that God is going to protect me. I know that he is. I don't need to prove it. I don't need to tempt him to show that that's the case. I just trust his word. I trust his mission. I trust his purposes for me, his intent for me. So therefore, my protection is with the Lord. It's not with my understanding of what the Lord's going to do. And then last but not least, the devil takes him up onto a high mountain, and he shows him all the kingdoms of the world. Now, I would argue that he shows him past, present, future kingdoms of the world and says, okay, listen, all this will belong to you. All this power and prestige will be yours if you simply bow down and worship me. Well, we know what happens there. Jesus says, get behind me, Satan. You only worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And what was interesting here, a little sidebar note, is that Jesus says, don't tempt the Lord your God when he's on the pinnacle of the temple. Kind of a double entendre, non-sexual. He's basically saying, don't tempt me. And then last but not least, when he's on the mountain, he says to him, get behind me, Satan. You never worship anyone but the Lord your God. Basically, worship me. How am I going to worship you? You need to get behind. I'm the engine leading this train here. So what's interesting here is that What can we take from this? We can take from this is that Jesus is teaching us that the provision that we're to seek in this life is to come from God, that our protection comes from him and our trust in him. And then also any kind of power, influence, or prestige we're going to get is from worshiping him, not ourselves or seeking those ends. So there you have it, guys. That's the 3 secrets to walking with God. And Jesus taught us those in his temptation in the desert. I hope this edifies you. I hope it encourages you. I hope it gives you the strength you need to push forward in the Lord for his glory. God be with you. You are a warrior. As always, remember, like, share, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel, and I will continue to put out the content. God be with you. Peace.